Hey everyone, it's Paige of Pure Vita Performance, coach to the Pure Vita Mavericks, and I'm coming to you with episode 10 of Teachable Tuesdays, which is kind of unreal to me because that means we've been doing this for 2.5 months now. So pretty awesome. But today what I want to talk about is wind. So this has come up in conversation with the Mavericks and what to do with wind, especially when you're riding alone and you're, a beginner or intermediate cyclist. So there's 7 different tips that I'm going to give you today. And I just want to say about wind that, as a beginner and intermediate rider, sometimes we get so focused on speed. And so when you head out into some wind, it can be really demoralizing. It can really bruise the ego, but you just have to let go of that. Just like hills are part of a ride, sometimes so is wind. So you just have to sort of work with it. But anyway, the first tip that I want to give you is to plan ahead. So what you can do is when you get up in the morning or whenever your ride is, have a look at what the weather's doing. So when I lived in BC, where I started riding, it wasn't about the wind. It was about when can I get out and not get wet with the rain. So, but since moving to Ontario 4 years ago, and if you're anywhere else in the world that has to deal with wind, you're getting up and looking at the weather for that. So have a look at the weather in the morning. And what you want to do is you want to plan your ride so that you're going out into it if you can. If you're going out with a friend or a group, then that's a whole other kettle of fish, especially when you're group riding when it comes to wind. But today we're talking about solo rides. So you want to plan your route so that you're going out into the wind. So that's often, it's just easier when you head out into it and then you have the tailwind on the way back. And you hope that that's the case because sometimes the wind can switch around on you. So you just want to check into the weather and look at the hourly to see what's happening there and how strong it is. You want to plan your nutrition around that. It can, you can use a lot more energy when you're going into wind and you're pushing a bit more power there, especially if you're fighting it. So you want to plan to maybe be eating a bit more. That could be the case, but you want to take that into consideration. Gear down. So you can just gear down a notch if you're feeling like you're just, using too much leg power or you're starting to feel tired, make sure that you gear down. Don't fight it. Okay. So, what you can do is, well, firstly, gear down like the last point, but don't fight it when you're going into it, but use it to your advantage when it's behind you, okay? So that's what I have to say about that. Don't wear loose fitting clothing. I think we all know that. Anybody who's worked with me probably either has the Maverick cycling kit, which is the jacket, the vest, the long sleeve shorts, and short sleeve and the bib shorts. So all of that is very snug fitting. It's snug fitting for a reason. You don't want it flapping around. And you don't want to focus on your speed. So a lot of people are on different programs like Map My Ride and Strava and that kind of thing. So I don't want you to be focused on speed. Rather, I want you to be focused on how you're feeling. And if you I doubt very much that you have a power meter, but you will definitely have access to your heart rate. So focus on how you're feeling and your heart rate. If your heart rate's way up there and you're going into the wind, back off a little, right? You want to save some for the way home. And keep it positive. Just like climbing, you want to keep a very positive mental attitude when it comes to cycling in the wind. It's just a part of the ride. So lower your expectations for that. So an example of this is, so say you were to ride a 30K route on one day, say it was a Monday, and the wind was, 10 kilometers out of the west. And then you go on Wednesday, ride that very same route, but it's, let's say it's a south wind. And there's so many different variables. You get where I'm going with this. It's always going to be so many different rides. So people who get QOMs, sometimes they're riding with a group, but sometimes they're using the elements like wind and all that kind of thing to their advantage, right? So just remember that your speed doesn't mean anything on these days. It doesn't mean anything ever. It's more about where your heart rate is and how you're feeling on the bike. because not every day is the same. Even how we feel in our energy levels, like how much we've hydrated, what our nutrition has been like that day or that week, and all those kinds of things. So those are my 7 tips on riding into the wind when you're riding solo. So that's plan ahead, plan your route, gear down, don't fight it, don't wear loose-fitting clothing, don't focus on your speed, focus on how you're feeling, and keep it positive, okay? So that's what I have for you today. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will get to them, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.